What's up, guys? Enjoy the video and subscribe.
This story is titled, My Wife Giggled at a Barbecue That She Was Keeping Me Around Until Something Better Came Along. I laughed too, then handed her divorce papers with a congratulations cake. You should have seen her face when she read the frosting. I used to think my marriage was just going through a long, rough patch. You know, the kind where two tired people shuffle through life, elbow deep in bills and kids and Costco rotisserie chickens, just waiting for the next long weekend to remind themselves they still like each other. Turns out, I was the only one waiting. Let me introduce you to Ruth, 42F, queen of passive-aggressive jabs and seasonal throw pillows. She's the kind of woman who thinks, I'm just being honest, is a personality trait. We've been married 22 years. She used to laugh at my dumb puns and sit shotgun on my beer runs. Now she laughs when I can't figure out how to airdrop photos and says things like, "You're lucky I'm still around," with a smile so sweet it gives you cavities if you look directly at it. Emily, 19F, our daughter, just started college and already thinks I'm some outdated software no one wants to update. She calls when she needs money or emotional support, but never both at once, because that would imply I matter in more than one category. Oscar, 14M, the teenager with a permanent scowl and a PhD in sarcasm, is usually either screaming into a headset or avoiding eye contact like I'm a school project he forgot to finish. So last weekend, we're at this neighborhood barbecue. Burgers, beers, Bob from 3 houses down trying to mansplain propane safety for the 5th time. And Ruth's got her plastic wine cup in one hand and her phone in the other, scrolling and judging like she's hosting a roast no one asked for. Someone, I think it was her work friend Gina, says something about how hard it is to find a decent man these days. And Ruth, without missing a beat, giggles and goes, "Oh, I know. I'm just keeping mine around until something better comes along." Cue laughter. Gina cackles. Even Bob, whose wife left him for a CrossFit instructor, chuckles. And I laugh too. Because that's what you do, right? You laugh. You play along. You wear the clown shoes and juggle the flaming bowling pins while your ego dies in public. You laugh so people won't see the crack running down your spine. I don't even remember what I said after that. Something self-deprecating, probably. Something that made me seem like a good sport instead of a man being emotionally mugged in broad daylight. Ruth looked proud of herself, like she just nailed the punchline of a joke she's been working on for years. Later, someone handed me a beer and said, "You're a lucky guy." And I said, "Yeah, real lucky." But inside, I wasn't thinking about the beer or the grill or how the neighbor's dog kept trying to hump my leg. I was thinking about frosting. Bright pink frosting. And a cake with "congratulations" written across it in swirly letters. Because what Ruth didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd already made an appointment with a lawyer. I'd already copied the bank statements, pulled the credit reports, and started listing everything in the house I could legally call mine. I wasn't angry. Not really. I was free. Next part, we go deeper, because the cake was just the beginning. The Monday after that barbecue, I called in sick for the first time in 3 years. Not because I was sick, unless you count soul rot and chronic humiliation as medical conditions, but because I needed space. Not in the vague, therapy speak sense. I mean physical, tangible space. Like the kind you get in your garage, where the only thing judging you is a half-empty can of WD-40 and a workbench you built with your own hands. Ruth had already left for work. Oscar was at school. Emily was still in her dorm, probably pretending I'm just the guy who Venmos her textbook money and magically refills the gas tank when she comes home for laundry. So I stood there in the quiet, looking around at my house, the one I paid for, painted, fixed, upgraded, winterized, and mowed for 22 straight summers, and realized I didn't live there anymore. I existed there. Big difference. I went into the office. Ruth's office, technically. She's got this filing cabinet that looks like it holds state secrets, but really just hides overdue Kohl's bills and expired Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. 45 minutes later, I found 3 credit cards I didn't recognize, all under her name. Total balance? $34,000. Because why budget when your husband's too tired from the night shift to ask questions? Oh, and surprise, there was a second phone line. Not hers. Not mine. Not Oscar's. Just a third, unlabeled mystery phone being paid for with auto withdrawals from our joint account. I guess I should have been more offended, but honestly, I just felt relieved. Like finally spotting the leak that's been slowly sinking your boat for years. That afternoon, I opened a separate bank account in my name only. Transferred my next paycheck before it could be swallowed by Ruth's never-ending Amazon cart of lies. The banker asked if everything was okay at home, and I just smiled and said, "Yep." Just doing a little spring cleaning. I stopped by a bakery on the way home. Asked if they could make a custom cake with congratulations written across the top in bright pink frosting and tiny edible champagne bottles on the sides. The baker raised an eyebrow. I said it was for a celebration. She didn't ask for details. When Ruth got home that night, she didn't notice anything different. Not the new padlock on the garage cabinet. Not the missing papers from the drawer where she keeps the important stuff. She asked if I could pick up Oscar from practice the next day. I said sure, with a smile that probably looked a little too genuine. She gave me a weird look, like she was trying to remember the last time I didn't look like a human doormat. That night, I started packing. Not the clothes or toiletries or I'm moving out kind of packing. No, this was the kind of packing you do when you're staging a reveal, quiet, calculated, invisible to everyone who stopped seeing you as a person. I boxed up the documents, set aside the receipts, labeled every flash drive. I even practiced what I'd say when I handed her the papers. Congratulations. You've been upgraded to single. Still debating if I'll actually say that. But God, it sounds good in my head. Because here's the thing. When someone jokes about waiting for someone better, what they don't expect is that you might decide to do the same. Only difference is, I'm not joking. By Wednesday, I had 3 folders on my desktop: banking, legal, and evidence. Each one more depressing than the last. If someone ever made a documentary about my marriage, those would be the opening title cards, fade in on me sipping day-old coffee in a garage that smells like oil and betrayal. I kept playing the barbecue moment over in my head. Her laugh. That stupid line. Just keeping him around until something better comes along. She probably thought she was being clever. Charming, even. The life of the party. But all I saw was a woman who stopped respecting me the second I stopped being new. Ruth has this habit of underestimating people. Especially me. She thinks I won't notice the extra $200 missing from the checking account, or the way her phone suddenly flips screen down when I walk into the room. She thinks I'm a man who doesn't fight back, that I'll take the hits and laugh at the punchlines, even when I'm the punchline. Well, surprise, sweetheart. The joke's about to be on you. Thursday morning, I called my buddy Tony. Now, Tony isn't the type you call for emotional support. Tony is the kind of guy who knows a guy. A man who can get things done, no questions asked, and not in the bury a body way, though I'm not ruling out his capabilities. I told him I needed to throw a small event on short notice. He didn't even ask what kind. Just said, "You want balloons with that?" Dead serious. God bless him. We settled on a backyard setup. Casual, but nice. A few rented tables. White folding chairs. Even one of those dumb letterboards Ruth always uses for Instagram. Except this one would say, "Congrats on the upgrade." Meanwhile, I played the dutiful husband. Took out the trash. Picked up Oscar. Listened to Ruth complain about someone's baby shower and how people don't put effort into celebrations anymore. Oh honey, just you wait. That night, I ordered the cake. Same bakery. This time, I asked them to write, "Congratulations on your freedom. Enjoy the solo ride." I told the girl behind the counter it was for a friend going through a breakup. She winked and said, "Oh, I've made 4 of those this week." Friday afternoon, I booked a consultation with the lawyer. Nothing flashy. Just a no BS office next to a strip mall. The lawyer was maybe 5 feet 3 inches, wore a cardigan like she was about to read bedtime stories. But don't let that fool you. She had shark eyes. I liked her immediately. She asked if I had grounds. I slid over the phone with screenshots, texts, bank statements, and that lovely video Emily posted of my world's #1 disappointment trophy. Her eyebrows did this little twitch thing, like even she wasn't prepared for that kind of petty cruelty. "Yeah," she said. "You've got grounds." We drafted the paperwork right there. She said I could serve Ruth any time afternoon on Sunday. Perfect. Sunday, as in the family barbecue I insisted on hosting to show everyone how great things are Sunday. Ruth had no idea. She thought I was just suddenly putting effort in again. Lighting the grill. Mowing the lawn. Windexing the patio doors like a suburban step-forward drone. She didn't see it, the storm I'd been quietly building. The folders. The cake. The plan. And God help me, I was starting to smile again. A real smile. Not the forced, performative thing I'd been wearing for the last decade. Something inside me had clicked back into place, like a bolt finally tightening after years of rattling loose. This was no longer about revenge. This was about reclaiming the punchline. Sunday felt like prom night if prom was for middle-aged men about to nuke their marriages in front of friends, family, and a strategically hired notary. I woke up early, not because I couldn't sleep, though I couldn't, but because the anticipation was boiling under my skin like jet fuel. The air even smelled different. Sharper. Like the world was holding its breath for what I was about to do. Ruth was in rare form. fluttering around the kitchen like Martha Stewart on Adderall. She kept barking at Oscar to fix his hair and texting Emily nonstop about bringing that cute new guy she's seeing to the cookout. Because nothing says family bonding like awkward boyfriends and burnt hot dogs. By noon, the backyard looked like a damn Pinterest board. String lights. Mason jars. Those stupid chalkboard signs Ruth loves that say crap like live, laugh, love, and why not. Meanwhile, I was in my own zone. Grill prepped. Cooler stocked. Divorce papers sealed in a manila envelope under the patio table, next to the Bluetooth speaker playing classic rock like we were just your average happy suburban family. Around 1 o'clock, guests started arriving. Ruth played hostess like she was auditioning for a reality show. Air kisses, fake laughs, calling me babe in front of people like she hadn't spent the last decade talking to me like I was a malfunctioning Alexa. Emily arrived with Chad, or Chase, or some other human equivalent of Axe body spray. He immediately started talking about cryptocurrency. I smiled and handed him a beer. It was going to be a good day. 2:30 p.m. That's when the cake arrived. The baker's assistant wheeled it in like she was delivering a wedding dress. 3 tiers. Pink frosting. Gold letters that said, "Congratulations on your freedom, Ruth. Here's to upgrading." I swear time slowed down when she lifted that box lid. I saw Ruth's smile freeze like someone had pressed pause on her face. Everyone went dead quiet. Even Chad stopped talking about Ethereum. "What is this?" she asked, blinking at the cake like it had personally insulted her. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to give it space. I wanted her to stew in that weird, syrupy silence where everyone's afraid to laugh but desperate for someone else to break the tension. Then I pulled out the envelope and set it next to the cake. "That," I said, "is your divorce cake. And these," I tapped the envelope, "are your papers. Mazel tov." It was Emily who gasped first. Oscar said, "Wait, what?" Like he just realized the house was on fire and he was the marshmallow. Ruth stared at me, then at the cake, then back at me, blinking like someone had hit her with a frying pan full of reality. "This is a joke," she said, laughing nervously. "Tell me this is a joke." I shrugged. "You're the one who joked about upgrading. I'm just celebrating it." The notary, God bless her, stepped forward like she was announcing the winner of a spelling bee. "Ms. Ruth Wallace, you've officially been served. Please confirm receipt." Ruth didn't move. She just stood there, glass of rose in one hand, mouth slightly open, blinking in that stunned way people do when their whole illusion shatters mid-sentence. People started shifting awkwardly, whispering. Gina, the same woman Ruth made the keeping him around joke to, actually mouthed, "Oh my God." Chad tried to chug his beer like he could drink himself out of the moment. Then Emily snapped. "What the hell is this? Are you seriously doing this here?" I looked at her, calm as I've ever been, and said, "You all laughed at me like I was the punchline. But today, I'm the one holding the mic." I left the papers, took a slice of cake, because damn it, I paid for it, and walked back into the house while everyone else just stood there, digesting the frosting and the fallout. In that moment, I didn't feel petty. I felt powerful. I'd finally stopped being their joke. And now? Now the real story begins. I wish I could say Ruth took it with dignity, that she blinked back a tear, nodded, and left the party with her head held high. But nah, Ruth doesn't do dignity. She does drama. About 90 seconds after I walked inside, I heard the scream. Not just a mad wife scream. This was primal. Like a hyena just got told her Amex was declined. "You ruined my life," she screeched so loud the neighbor's dog started barking. I was halfway through cutting another piece of cake when she charged into the kitchen, heels clicking like gunshots, face flushed, mascara already migrating down her cheeks. "You think this is funny?" I calmly put the cake on a paper plate. "I actually think it's delicious." She slapped the plate out of my hand. Frosting hit the cabinet like a Jackson Pollock painting made of spite and buttercream. Emily stormed in behind her, eyes blazing. "What the hell, Dad? You humiliated Mom in front of everyone." She was crying in the yard. "Good," I said. "Now she knows how I felt for the past 5 years. Welcome to empathy." Oscar hovered in the hallway, wide-eyed, holding a half-eaten burger like it was a grenade. Kid looked one blink away from trauma. Ruth started pacing, ranting about defamation and emotional abuse, and "How dare you pull a stunt like this without warning?" "You gave me a warning," I said. "At the barbecue. When you laughed about upgrading. I'm just giving you what you asked for." She spun on me. "You blindsided me in front of friends. In front of Emily. And yet, I've been blindsided in this marriage for years. Every time you rolled your eyes when I spoke. Every time you called me useless behind my back and thought I wouldn't hear. Every time you spent money we didn't have on stuff we didn't need while I worked 50 hours a week so you could drink Chardonnay in yoga pants and call it self-care." Ruth was shaking now. Not from sadness. From rage. She looked like she wanted to throw something, probably me. "You've lost your mind," she whispered. "No." I finally found my spine. Emily threw her hands up. "This is so fucked." Then Ruth dropped it. The line she probably thought would break me. "Good luck finding someone else to put up with your boring, pathetic ass." I actually smiled. "You really think I'm looking for another you?" Boom. Silent detonation. Emily grabbed her purse and ran out the front door, slamming it hard enough to make the cake knife clatter off the counter. Ruth stood there, deflated. Years of manipulation, of quiet digs and snide remarks, all of it falling flat now that I wasn't playing along. She slumped into a kitchen chair, hands trembling. For a moment, she didn't look like a queen. She looked small, out of moves. And I felt nothing. No pity, no guilt. Just this weight lifting off my chest that I hadn't even realized was there. She whispered something I barely caught. "You really planned this." "I planned to survive," I said. "The rest was just frosting." Then I walked out, got in my truck, drove to Tony's house where the guest room was already made up. He handed me a beer, said, "That bad?" And I just started laughing. Not bitter, not broken, just free. Because I wasn't going back. And tomorrow, Ruth would wake up and realize her real nightmare wasn't losing me. It was realizing I was the best thing she ever had, and she laughed it away like a punchline. By Monday morning, Ruth had gone full Cold War. I woke up to 14 unread texts, 3 missed calls from Emily, and 1 truly deranged Facebook post from Ruth that started with, "Sometimes, the person you trust the most turns out to be the biggest monster." Oh yeah, she was in her villain origin arc. There were vague references to emotional trauma, a shocking betrayal, and my personal favorite, a planned public humiliation meant to destroy a woman's self-worth. She even attached a photo of the cake. No context, no caption, just a beautiful pink cake that now looked like a murder scene of fondant and failure. Comments were a mix of "Stay strong, queen," and "WTF happened," and one glorious, "Is this about Steve?" from someone who clearly hadn't been following the saga. I almost felt bad for the people genuinely trying to be supportive. Almost. Ruth wasn't just telling a story. She was spinning a fable where she was the tragically blindsided wife, ambushed at a barbecue by her mentally unstable husband while trying to hold the family together. And the scary part? She was good at it. Real good. I can see it in the way people were reacting, offering support, sympathy, and casseroles. Because nothing says, "Sorry your marriage imploded," like baked ziti and gossip. But here's the thing Ruth forgot. I have receipts. Literal, digital, timestamped receipts. Screenshots. Emails. Her text to Gina about trading up once the kitchen reno was done. Her bank statements. Even the draft notes in her phone where she practiced a speech about needing time to find herself after Oscar went off to college. Yeah, she was rehearsing her exit. But I beat her to it. Oscar texted me around noon. "Mom's crying. Emily's screaming. You okay?" That kid. Quietest one in the house, and somehow the only one asking how I was doing. I replied, "Better than I've been in years. You need a place to breathe. My door's open." Then I blocked Ruth on everything but email. If she wanted to talk, she could go through the lawyer. By 3 p.m., Emily was blowing up my phone. Her messages ranged from "You're seriously ruining everything" to "She's devastated. Dad. How could you?" I thought about replying. About explaining that this wasn't some snap decision. That I'd been dying inside for years while they all laughed at my expense. That she filmed me getting a damn disappointment trophy and thought it was TikTok gold. But I didn't. Because I've learned something. You can't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. So instead, I opened a fresh document. Titled it "Custody of Truth." I started collecting everything. Chronologically, calmly, clinically. If Ruth wanted to spin stories, she'd have to compete with facts. Around 5 p.m., Tony knocked on my door holding 2 beers and a grin. "Your wife's on Instagram Live crying with a ring light." We sat down, cracked the cans, and watched Ruth's teary monologue where she said things like, "He was just so cruel," and "I gave him everything, and he just threw it away." I raised my kin in a mock toast. To everything, which apparently includes secret credit cards and a burner phone. Tony snorted. "Bro, this is better than Netflix." He wasn't wrong, but I wasn't watching for entertainment. I was documenting, preserving, preparing. Because Ruth didn't know it yet. But the more she tried to paint herself as the victim, the harder the truth was going to hit when the curtain finally dropped. And me? I wasn't her puppet anymore. I was holding the damn strings. I didn't respond to Ruth's videos. I didn't post my side. Didn't send texts to defend myself or throw her under the bus. I just waited. Let her keep spinning her little drama for the world like she was the heartbroken wife in some cable movie called Betrayed at the Barbecue. People like her don't break in silence. They break in spectacle. By Friday, the tide started turning. A mutual friend DM'd me a screen recording. Ruth had gone live again. Teary, disheveled. But this time, the comments weren't quite so supportive. Didn't you post that trophy video of your husband? I remember you laughing about him being boring. Why is he the villain when you publicly humiliated him first? Turns out, you can only play the victim for so long when you left a digital breadcrumb trail straight to your own bullshasterisk tea. Her audience, mostly middle-aged moms and MLM wine reps, had started asking questions. And the answers were inconvenient. But the final nail? That came from Emily. Saturday night, she showed up at Tony's. No text, no warning, just a knock. I opened the door expecting a lecture, and there she was. Hoodie, no makeup, eyes red. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there like someone who finally saw the magician's hands after years of believing in the trick. Can I come in? She asked. We sat at the table. Same one I'd been eating microwave dinners on all week like some divorced cryptid. She reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. I found Mom's notes, she said. Drafts. Messages to her friend about waiting until after the remodel to serve you first. She was going to take the house. She had it all planned. She looked up at me. Guilty. Raw. I thought you were being cruel, Dad. I didn't know you were just done. I didn't say I told you so. Didn't gloat. Just nodded and said, you see it now? She nodded back. I'm sorry. And damn if that didn't hit harder than all the cake, the papers, the speeches. Because I didn't need revenge. I needed someone to understand. We sat in silence after that. Just a father and daughter trying to find ground in the crater of a marriage. By Monday morning, the legal side was all buttoned up. Ruth was contesting the split, naturally, but the paper trail was airtight. Her burner phone? Subpoenaed. Her secret accounts? Flagged. And the best part? That cake photo, the one she posted thinking it made me look unhinged? It was now the profile picture of my official divorce announcement post, captioned, when your wife jokes you're just a placeholder, and you believe her. Clean break, clean cut. No regrets. Thanks for the laughs. 3,782 likes. 104 DMs. And one message from my high school ex that said, damn, that's the cleanest exit I've ever seen. Congrats, legend. So that's it. No big crescendo. No teary-eyed montage. Just me, in a rental with too much silence, a tool chest full of organized sockets, and a cheap little trophy I took back from the mantle and now keep in the garage, right above my workbench. It still says, world's #1 disappointment. But now, I look at it and smile. Because I disappointed the right people. And God, it feels good.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.